The first speech of this session will be delivered by Mr. Ravil Bukharaev Sb. The topic of his speech is the importance of Khelafat in contemporary society. Please.
Remind me 5 minutes from there.
Okay, you have got 30 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. May Allah keep us on the true path of Ahmadiyyat. May Khelafat Ahmadiyya always be our true compass. Allah Almighty tells us in the Holy Quran that everything in this world is of importance and is made with a purpose. As true Muslims, as Ahmadi Muslims, we know and believe that everything in the world has its seen and unseen properties. And more than often, in reference to both spiritual and material realms of Allah, the unseen bears greater importance for our spiritual health and survival. Therefore, when we set ourselves to truly deliberate about the importance of Khelafat in the modern age, we are inevitably led to ponder not just upon its seen and tangible, but also of its intangible and unseen properties in the light of the Holy Quran. In the Surah Al-Nasr, so named after the clear promise of divine help for all true Muslims, Allah Almighty says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, when the help of Allah comes and the victory, and thou seest men entering the religion of Allah in troops, glorify thy Lord with his praise and seek his forgiveness. Surely he is oft returning with mercy. As ever in the Holy Quran, the meaning of this surah is manifold and inexhaustible. In relation to the blessed institution of the Ahmadiyya Khelafat, the grand centenary of which we are all solemnly celebrating this year, this brief surah alone might present us with a topic for discussion lasting for days on end. But even if we out of oceanic depths of its meaning take on just one aspect of this surah, then this today probably most important aspect will tell us of the absolute need and the true essence of Khelafat as the only religious system upon which the entire Islamic Ummah should be organized. Once again, read this verse of the Surah An-Nasr. Glorify thy Lord with his praise and seek his forgiveness. Inshallah, in the light of the present discourse, we may presume that the first part of this injunction of Allah refers to the seen and obvious, and the second part to the unseen and physically intangible features of Khelafat in Islam. May we then start with the first set of these glorious features, and with the help of Allah try to state their importance for the present day world. If one is asked to explain in only one short sentence what is Islam, one may well say Islam is the sense of unity. Indeed, true Islam, as we see and prove it every moment in the fold of Ahmadiyyat, is the sense of unity and brotherhood amongst people, emerging from the unique and wonderful sense and realization of Tawheed, the unity of Allah. Alas, we see that in the so-called Muslim world beyond the fold of Ahmadiyyat, there is no unity in any, let alone grand sense of this word. Even brotherhood, when it can be seen, is being built more on materialistic and political rather than spiritual and religious grounds. How then the selfless unity is to be established and maintained in the modern world, when great many people devoid of any common ideals now question the very need for being united, asking whether it is indeed necessary to establish and maintain any unity at all? In this modern, or rather postmodern world, many people will bluntly say to you that unity is not essential anymore. This will not necessarily be the result of corruption of their heart and soul. Nay, this will be the result of one particular philosophy, which in the wake of communism and existentialism took their place as the main materialistic philosophy to replace religion in the modern world. Basically, this philosophy is called postmodernism and teaches that all truths and ideals are always relative, that there is no absolute truth in the universe, and as such, all truths and all beliefs are equal insofar that they have importance only for those who hold them. For the many proponents of this philosophy of postmodernism, which has in the last 30 years just permitted all thinking and all cultural as well as political activities of the Western world, thinking and all culture, under the banner there is no taboos in a liberal democracy, it is enough for an individual to do what he or she has a passing whim to do, without any thought of the consequences of such behavior for their society and its future. I will not talk here about these consequences, among which are bloody and unjust wars in the name of democracy, corporate robbery of the developing world, double standards in international relations, drug and alcohol abuse, sexual nervous diseases, collapse of family life, psychological depressions. All of that is really already in a plain view. Suffices here to say that in the absence of unity and any desire for unity, we see only disintegration. To the question why it is so, the answer in Islam is as scientific as it is religious, because it is only unity that begets orderliness. In those societies where religion plays less role or none at all, the social system is allegedly maintained by the application of laws. The law may be good or bad, but these laws say nothing about the purpose of such society. They are just to organize this society in a particular way. This lack of purpose in the atmosphere of ever-increasing permissiveness will inevitably bring any postmodernist society to a point of utter disappointment and frustration with the laws that do not work and do not prevent lawlessness anymore, after which point a catastrophic chaos can ensue. Even in this country, which has given the concept of law to a good half of the world, I myself several times heard the expression of such fears. So then, what can we expect of countries and societies with much less understanding of the rule of law and much less wealth? So does God Almighty at all want unity and order in the world? Does He offer us these ideals and their understanding as the purpose of our life, or the proponents of postmodernist philosophies are right and all ideals are imaginary, and there is no such thing as one truth for all people, let alone the entire universe? Those are not vain questions, because there indeed are various unions in the world, both Muslim and non-Muslim, enjoying varied success in what they do. Some Muslims and scholars, politicians before and now, attempted to establish their own Khelafat of sorts. After the Khelafat movement of 1919 and 1924, there were Maulana Maududi, Taliban, Hizb ut-Tahrir, just to name a few. But is it not about them that Allah Almighty says in the Surah Al-Hasr, those thinkers then to be united, but their hearts are divided? It is enough to have a look at the photographs recently, by the way, distributed via email by Brother Nasser Bhat, and thank him for that, from the most recent convention of Muslim scholars of various sects of Islam in Saudi Arabia, to see how keen they are in reality to mend their differences and unite. These pictures of mullahs placidly sleeping in their seats after a good meal is proof enough of their desire to be selfless and unite for religious purposes. Of course, they seem to have been already united in opposition to Khelafat Ahmadiyya, but even then their hearts are divided as to who will have the lion's share of the material gains and political benefits of such intolerant behavior. They are raging in open rebellion for all to see and fear, but the truth is not with them, for genuine truth is always hidden in the unseen. It is for the great purpose that the Holy Quran reminds us that the world around us and our inner world is full of signs for those who understand. How vital is then for all of us not only to use but also to always intensify our quest for understanding. Let me give you an unexpected example to illustrate and to answer the above said question. In our quest to understand the world around us and see why Allah has created this or that in a particular way, many of us enjoy watching documentaries about living nature. One day there was a documentary about flamingo birds living in East Africa. And it is said that then by learned zoologists, with their feeding and structural adaptations, flamingos are able to occupy habitats too extreme for most other creatures. For example, they live near the Lake Natron in northern Tanzania, and the surface temperatures at Lake Natron can exceed 65 degrees Celsius, and the flamingos are also able to withstand high levels of chloride, sulfates, and fluoride. So in their immense multitude, flamingos live in the most adverse circumstances. Anyway, being just earthly creatures, at the end of the day they always have to cleanse themselves of alkaline and other chemical depositions on their feet and feathers, or else their depositions will eventually become so heavy as to prevent their movement and make them die of hunger. In the way most extraordinary even for humans, let alone brainless birds, their behavior presents nothing less of a miracle of Allah. The film I have in mind showed that there is only one freshwater stream was flowing into the lake, in which this immense multitude of flamingos could bathe and cleanse themselves. Just one stream for thousands and thousands of birds. And these birds, by the will and grace of Allah, all stand in the line particularly waiting for their turn to bathe, and thus survive the extremity of their habitat. They do not argue and fight in order to get to the stream first.